Here's what we know about the situation in Tanzania following Wednesday's election. So first off, there is reportedly a nationwide internet outage with an internet monitoring group corroborating reports of a digital blackout. There's also reports of protests by some outlets, but police did declare a curfew last night in Dar es Salaam. Now, President Hassan is running for a second term and very likely to win, but critics accuse her of rolling back on a number of democratic reforms, including blocking main opposition candidates from running. So much so that Amnesty International claims Tanzanian authorities intensified repression ahead of the election. Now, the government says it was deeply concerned by the organization's report and say that they're committed to protecting human rights, freedom of expression, peaceful assembly, and also access to information.
Hi lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're welcome to Building the Verse. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video.
Hey guys, I'm currently trapped in a remote Tanzanian village with no way out. Tanzania is currently in a state of political unrest due to a recent election, so a lot of the country has erupted into violent protests. And I'm currently on day 3 with no internet as the country's decided to black out the entire population from the outside world. I was at the airport for 6 hours yesterday until I found out my flight was canceled with no new date expected. There's no planes, there's no buses, and a lot of major roads are closed as there's roadblocks and gas stations supposedly being lit on fire. But the positive side is the airline put me in this super nice hotel indefinitely, for free also. In the meantime, I have nothing I could really do except drink beer by this pool. So yeah, I have no idea how I'm gonna escape this country, but I need to be in Kenya in like 2 days. But the borders are closed and there's no airplanes, so I'm gonna have to pull off a miracle here.
Samia Suluhu Hassan, Tanzania's president, has officially let the people know that she is going to stay in power, whether they like it or not. Since the country's recent elections, Tanzanians have filled the streets to clearly communicate their rejection of the election's results and her alleged victory. In possibly one of the worst moves a leader could make, President Hassan simply went ahead with the inauguration, but the public were banned from attending. The current administration shut down the internet in an attempt to repress nationwide conversations and movements, but videos posted online show that thousands of people are continuing to march, and it doesn't seem like they're stopping anytime soon. How does one rule over people who are rejecting them? Through violence. So far, hundreds have been murdered during clashes with Tanzanian security forces. The movement in Tanzania is different. Tanzanians aren't known to protest. In fact, their Kenyan siblings have even teased them for taking a page out of their book. But it seems as though the East African country has truly had enough of accepting what has been forced on them for generations, and we are rooting for them every step of the way. Keep following OK Africa for coverage from across the continent.
Okay, everyone needs to at least know what's happening in Tanzania right now because it is truly staggering. Hundreds of people are now feared dead. We're talking up to 700, some sources say, after major unrest broke out on Friday, protesting the country's election results. And you're wondering, why is this such a big thing? Well, listen to this. The country's president, Samia Hassan, she said that she received almost 98% of the results. Yeah, you get it. So her main opposition, one's in jail, another one was barred from running for technical reasons. Amnesty International, they're saying that there was a pattern of suspicious disappearances and deaths leading up to the election. And because of this, there's been such a large protest that's been happening over the past 3 days. It's triggered an internet shutdown. No one essentially can go on the internet at the minute. And the country's opposition party, this is where it gets really horrific. They are claiming that 700 people have been killed since Friday. That's 3 days. If true, that's staggering. Now, others cite different numbers, but still just as staggering. A diplomatic source in Tanzania told the BBC that there was credible evidence that at least 500 people have been killed. Amnesty International, they say it's around 100. Reports also say that hospitals in the country are refusing to give out information when asked about casualties. And also because of the internet blackout, information from local journalists is also limited. So, truly staggering stuff, but I'll try and keep you guys updated as we find out more.
Good morning. I just had to do a quick video to talk about what's happening in Tanzania, and just make clear what my stance is, and firstly to send my condolences to all the people that were slain in the street that were just protesting for democracy and for a fair Tanzania. The UN has said that the numbers are, have confirmed that 10 are dead, but we know that hundreds have been unalive, probably about 700. And so the current power party, CCM, have been in rule since the independence of Tanzania in 1961. And then now with these elections, the president stopped the other two main parties from participating in this election, and she won by a landslide vote, 98%. She's being sworn in today or yesterday, and she's being sworn in with just the army barracks, so no public. And so I feel like that's a very, very big telltale of, then where did that 98% come from? It's come from terror and inciting fear and violence and legally rigging elections. And this is a pattern that happens across the continent of presidents being able to legally rig elections, and it's not good enough. And the African Union has come out to say congratulations to our president for the landslide victory. And President Ruto, President Museveni have stayed quiet. So Kenya's and Uganda's president have stayed quiet at the moment. And then it's Somalia and Rwanda's presidents that have come out to congratulate President Samia for this victory. And it's just, I don't know what can be done. The Tanzanians on the ground have been so brave already to go onto the streets, and they've been slain. So I don't know what the way forward is at the moment, but what I do know is that the African Union needs to stand up for the people. What was it made for? Was it made to just, as an old president's club, or was it made to protect the African people? And that's almost a rhetorical question. The African Union needs to stand up for democracy, needs to stand up for on the right side of history as to what's going on right now. And the rest of the world also needs to stand for democracy and shine a light on what is happening, because this sets a precedent for other presidents. Are we just going to allow African presidents to continue to just stay in power and not represent the people? Enough is enough. So again, RIP to all the people, Tanzanian people slain on the streets. Everybody stay safe, and I condemn the actions of an organization that is against democracy, and I'm just praying for Tanzania right now, and power to the people.
I had to pull myself together to make this video because it's really getting really heavy on me, and just hearing what's happening, it's just really frightening, especially if you have family that is in Tanzania. I'm pretty sure you can relate. If you have a loved one that is in Tanzania right now, I'm pretty sure you can relate at the heaviness that I'm feeling. Basically, they are going around houses, knocking on doors, and killing people, and this is the Ugandan military force. Another update is that the president of Uganda has been wanting part of Bukoba. It's a region in Tanzania, and The region has a lot of resources, obviously, but he's claiming that Bukoba was supposed to be his region. It was supposed to be a Ugandan region. It wasn't supposed to be a Tanzanian region. And this is why Samia has joined forces with the Ugandan president. And joining forces with the Ugandan president has offered her a leverage with the military forces coming in to help her during the election. But yeah, basically they're just going around killing people. And if they knock at your door, you open, they kill you. This has really been weighing really heavy on me, and that's why I came to church today, because I just don't understand. I don't understand anything happening right now. I feel lost. And as strong as I am, I'm a very empathetic person, like I said. So feeling helpless and like you can't do anything about it, it's killing me. So we just need to lean. We need to lean closer to our faith and to God at these moments, because yeah, these are really frightening moments.
What's happening in Tanzania is not new, and at the very least, it's a warning to the rest of the world. Because what happens in Africa is often just a testing ground on what politicians abroad are already scheming to do. During their most recent government elections, Tanzanians experienced a massacre of over 700 people, in which now folks are saying that it's actually over 3,000 people that have been killed, all for protesting for fairness for their elections. This takes us back to 2021, when John Pombe Magufuli, the former president of Tanzania, passed away on March 17, 2021, and then Vice President Samia Suluhu Hassan stepped up as president. This made her the first female president and the first woman to hold office in Tanzania. And one may think of this as revolutionary, but is it? If you've watched my recent video that I made on the Ugandan elections and how Museveni once ran as a revolutionary, you can see clearly how these patterns are continuing to be made, not only in Uganda, not only in Tanzania, but across different parts of the African continent and even the rest of the world. When Hassan first stepped up as president following the passing of former President Magufuli, she changed a lot of policies that Tanzanians had been hoping for. She not only lifted bans on social media and bans on pregnant schoolgirls being able to attend school, she lifted bans on opposition rallies during electoral periods. Let me say that again. She lifted the bans on opposition rallies. Period. But what has happened over the past few days, if not weeks, proved otherwise. During the most recent election period, which took place between August and the end of October, so it recently just passed, opposition parties, opposition leaders, and those that are for the opposition were subject to harassment, brutality, unaliving, and disappearances, including opposition leader Tundu Lissu being arrested, and others who have either been unalived, who have disappeared, no one knows where they are, and hundreds, if not thousands, of youth and protesters that have been massacred as a result of standing against President Hassan and her betrayal of the Tanzanian people. There have been curfews and lockdown put in place in order to control the people of Tanzania, in order to control the youth who are speaking up and just want their voices heard, including youth as young as 11 years old who've been subject to harassment by military officials for not even going out in the streets to protest, but things as simple as going out to get water and food for their families. When current President Hassan was sworn into office on November 3rd, 2025, so literally yesterday, it was reported that she won by a landslide of 97% of the voters. 97% of the voters. This is only due to the voting suppression that she enacted by arresting, unaliving, and disappearing oppositions people that are part of the opposition parties, either as supporters, leaders, or members. The internet was also shut down on election day. Current President Hassan shut down the internet on election day as a tactic of control of the people's voices, and of the people's concerns. This also took place on January 14th, 2021 in Uganda when the Museveni government shut down the internet and all forms of communication within the country the day following Election Day. There's so much at play here in terms of similarities happening not only across the African continent but across East Africa. And this makes me think a lot about Angela Davis's book, Freedom is a Constant Struggle, and the different tools and tactics that we can learn from one another in order to have a stronger upfront in our solidarity and in our fight for one another. Kenyans have been standing for Tanzania since the beginning of this election period, flying into the country to support protesters, to protest with them, to attend government meetings. And this momentum needs to continue with other East Africans. However, the safety risk is huge. And this is where us folks, us East Africans, us Black folks in the rest of the world can step up with the privileges that we hold as Black folks who do not live in the current countries that are experiencing these atrocities. A group that was birthed during the 2021 Ugandan elections is called Red Pearl, and it's a group made up of Ugandan youth across the diaspora who are fighting to end the dictatorship in Uganda. What they did in 2021 was they had folks on the ground and they had folks in different parts of the world who helped in reporting what was happening so that folks on the ground did not have to put their voices and their faces out there for the safety of themselves, their families, and their communities. Their social media is put up on the screen if you would like to support them or learn about different ways that they were able to go about supporting Ugandans on the ground from the diaspora during a very intense.
Samia Suluhu Hassan, the president of Tanzania, has made it very clear she's staying in power, whether the people like it or not. After the country's recent election, which many are calling one of the most controversial in Tanzania model history, the street has erupted. Tens of thousands of Tanzanians have filled the streets to make their message clear. They reject the results and they reject her leadership. But here's what is truly shocking. Instead of opening dialogue or showing retreats, the government has chosen the path of force. The internet has been shut down, social media platforms have gone dark, and communication lines have been severely restricted. It's almost impossible to reach people on the ground. Videos that have been somehow made it online show large crowds being confronted by heavily armed police and military forces. Reports coming in, though limited, are painting a terrifying picture. Up to 700 people are feared dead. An Amnesty International report at least 100 confirmed casualties. A diplomatic source told the BBC that credible evidence suggests over 500 have been killed in just 3 days. Hospitals have gone silent, refusing to share information. Families are being denied access to their loved ones. Muguns are reportedly full. This is not just a protest anymore. This is a national crisis, a human rights disaster unfolding in real time. Let's start from the top. President Samia Suluhu Hassan claimed victory in the recent election with a 98% of the votes. 98% in any functioning democracy, that number should raise alarm bells. Is the kind of number we associate with one-party states and authoritarian regimes, not a multi-party democracy. The oppositions didn't stand a chance. One major opposition candidate was jailed before the election. Another was disqualified for what the government called technical reasons. And in the weeks leading up to the polls, Amnesty International documented a pattern of intimidation, disappearance, and mysterious deaths of activists. So when Tanzanians took to the streets, it wasn't just about a single election. It was about decades of frustration, decades of being silent, ignored, and controlled, decades of seeing leaders come and go, yet feeling that nothing ever truly changes. What is remarkable is that Tanzanians are not known for this level of protest. Their neighbors in Kenya and Uganda, yes, protests happen there often, but Tanzania has long been viewed as a relatively calm, peaceful, even compliant. That image has been shattered As one Kenyan journalist put it, Tanzanians have finally taken a page out of Kenya's books. The question now is, how does a leader rule over people who are actively rejecting them? The answer, unfortunately, is through a violence and fear, and that is what is happening right now. In the city, after city, they say Sinam Duduma Orosha Moaza, there are reports of security forces firing live ammunition into crowds. Eyewitnesses have described people being dragged into trucks, never to be seen again. Entire neighborhoods have been locked down, and yet the protest continues. Despite the coffees, despite the soldiers, despite blackout, Tanzanians are still in the streets, chanting, waving flags, demanding change. Is the kind of courage that can only come from people who have lost everything to fear and finally decide to fight back. Let's talk about the blackout. The internet in Tanzania has been largely cut off since Friday. This means no WhatsApp, no X, formerly Twitter, no Facebook, no Instagram. Journalists can't report, activists can't organize, families can't communicate. Is a deliberate strategy, one used by regimes all across the world when they want to commit crimes in silence. When you turn off the internet, you turn off the witnesses. But even with the blackout, some stories have made it through. Link videos show protesters being beaten, gunshots echoing in distance, buzzes on the ground. Some of those videos are already being verified by international outlets, including the BBC, Reuters, and El Jazeera. Even satellite imagery shows signs of burning and military deployment around major cities. And yet, the international response has been muted. There has been no emergency session at the United Nations, no serious statement from the African Union, no sanction, no special envoys, just silence. It raises a haunting question. If this were happening in Europe or even part of the Middle East, would the world be reacting differently? Would we be seeing hashtags, statements, global outrage, or does African suffering simply not make headlines anymore? Inside Tanzania, the fear is spreading fast. Teachers, doctors, civil servants, they are being warned not to participate in any political discussions. University students are being monitored. Those who speak or lie risk arrest. According to local sources, dozens of journalists has been detained. The government insists it's all under control, that the numbers being reported are exaggerated, that foreign agents are behind the unrest. But we have heard that line before, haven't we? It's the same justification every repressive government gives when the people rise up. But here's the reality. Tanzania have crossed the time of fear, and when a people lose their fear, there is no turning back. Think about what it takes for ordinary citizens to risk their lives to go out knowing the army is waiting for them. That is not just politics, that is desperation, that is courage born out of pain. And that is why this moment matters, not just for Tanzania, but for Africa as a whole. Across the continent, people are watching closely. They are seeing how far the government is willing to go and how long the world will look away. Because if Tanzania people can stand up to repression, others might be inspired to do the same. Let's put this in perspective. Since dependency, Tanzania has been seen as one of the African stable democracy, but stability without freedom is just a quiet cage. And now the cage is breaking open. Some African leaders are watching this nervously. They know that war is happening in Tanzania could easily spread, that a wave of people's movement could sweep across the continent. When citizens realize that the power doesn't belong to president or generals but to themselves, it shakes the entire foundation of dictatorship. And make no mistakes, the Tanzanian government is scared. You can see it in their action. When a government starts shooting its people, it's because it knows it's losing control. When it starts silencing hospitals, arresting reporters, and shutting down the internet, it's because the truth is too dangerous. Now, let's talk about those numbers again. 700 dead. That is not just a statistics. That is 700 mothers, fathers, children, 700 families torn apart in just 3 days. And the silence surrounding it is deafening. This is not a time when Africa's solidarity should matter most. Where are the neighboring countries? Where are the voices from the African Union, from ECOWAS, from SADC? Why is there no outcry? If democracy means anything, then killing then the killing of peaceful protesters should be condemned loudly, immediately and collectively. Instead, what we have is diplomatic hesitation and political cowardice. The people of Tanzania are fighting for their right to exist, their right to vote, their right to be heard. They are not foreign agents, they are citizens demanding dignity. And right now, they need the world's eyes on them, because when the lights are off and the internet is down, the only thing that can protect them is attention. Silence gives the green light to oppression, awareness creates accountability. Tanzania movement might be beginning of a larger awakening across Africa, a reminder that no ruler is permanent and that the power truly belongs to the people. And when people rise, no army can permanently suppress them. The government can shut down the internet, it can hide the bodies, it can silence the press, but it cannot kill the truth. The truth is already out and the world is watching.
And if you have watched up to this extent, thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. Alright, lovely. See you when I upload the next video.